All right, so here's a quick one on a gradient, color, density, frequency. Um, right, whether we want to describe this as a visible, audible, or felt phenomena, right? Again, we're talking about frequency and density of quote unquote matter, which is really all spirit, right? But we're talking about this. The Goethe color theory stuff is interesting in light of this because I think this is something he's grabbing. Um, we're talking about this in relation to the Heraclitus quote, the cosmos is a divine fire, right? Or again, we're talking about the spirit essence, the fire, the FYRE, as I'm going to term it, through which the four elements are based and abased and returned to, as in the sort of the composition of the pleroma. So if you wanted to say this vision of divine fire, which is again sort of the ecstatic vision of the Sibyl or the oracle or the medicine man or the shaman, again, this can be traced again back to psychedelic substances or use of psychedelics. I believe this was the temple of Python, right? The Python was slayed by Apollo, and supposedly at the temple of Python, right, there was this gas that the oracles would ingest, right, and it would send them into this prophetic state. And what this prophetic state is it's a frequency of the brain, right? I believe it's theta and gamma. This state, I don't know the exact terms, right? I'm not approaching this from that angle. I'm approaching this from lived experience. Is that it's that state between sleep and wakefulness, right? The moment in which the sort of boundaries between the jurisdicting world of the consciousness and the sort of Neptunian oceanic consciousness of the unconscious or the subconscious or the world soul or the cosmos soul is, we're standing on that threshold, right? It's that dweller at the threshold. It's that on the edge of Saturn going into the transpersonal. It's the edge of the bounds of our quote-unquote reality going into the transpersonal. This is the moment in which we sort of commune with that spirit world, so to speak. And there's lots of stories of alchemists who kind of enter this state, right? This is, again, the state of prophecy. Jung terms this the kind of space that you're in when you engage in an active imagination exercise. But again, to return to the main theme here of gradient, frequency, wavelength, and density, this is a sort of insight against psychedelic, the mind revealing or the psyche revealing. This is we could conceive of the world of earthly matter as psyche actually concealing, right? This is a sort of firm boundary or border that we perceive. It's just a sort of sensate reality that, again, is the idea of the caged matter, which was referred to in the previous lecture, that this is just a matter of perception, right? So this is your ability to perceive, like the thing that you touch that you believe to touch, the thing that you believe to be separate, the desk, the chair, the table, the wall, the window, another human being, an animal, whatever it is, right? You believe this to be a sort of separate essence when in fact it is just inhabiting a certain frequency or wavelength or density of this spirit fire, F-Y-R-E. And this is again where the sort of divine music or the sacred music or the music of the spheres comes into play. And you can hear this actually with the modern technologies of the year of our Lord 2023, where I believe it's NASA has actually captured all of the different frequencies of the different planets, right? So you can hear Jupiter, you can hear Saturn, you can hear these planets and the sound that they make, right? These are orbital bodies with their own gravity. Again, this is I think this is actually the translation for planet in Greek is a wandering body. These wandering bodies that this is also a theme in what's his name? It's a theme in one of the prominent middle thousands alchemists, where there's this idea that what is seen is what you see, the face of the thing or the face of the being or the face of the god that jumps out from the lake of the soul, right? The face of the soul that appears to be a daemon, right? It reveals itself through the vision of it. So vision is one of these ways that we can tap into the subtle essence of the thing, but the thing itself is of the pleroma, right? It is of the fire, the F-Y-R-E. So when you're listening to a musical composition, or when you're existing in space and in time on the planet Earth, so to speak, in a solar system, surrounded by wandering bodies in a sort of dance, right? You could look at the dance of Venus and the Earth, again, courtesy of modern technology and, of course, medieval and into ancient astronomy and things like this, where we can map the dance of Earth and Venus, and you see the pentagram. The pentagram, again, is the crucified body of Christ, the five stigmata. The stigmata of Christ do represent this movement, this dance between Earth and Venus, Earth and Venus. This is the movement of the spirit into matter, the spirit into form. Again, Venus symbolically here simply stands for form and beauty, matter and form and beauty. So this is again the patron goddess of the arts. So when we're looking at, you look at a painting or music or a work of art, you're just standing in space and time at this sort of nexus and axis, again, the spirit and time, the cross of matter, the crucified cross of Christ, the cross of incarnation coming down spirit into matter. You are engaging in this sort of divine music or this divine rhythm through which each of the planets is a sort of instrument with its own density or frequency or wavelength. And this is discussed in the Dante. Again, I'll just stick with Dante, right? We don't need to make this too complicated, but there is, of course, you descend into hell, which is the descent into matter and the depths of matter. But in touching the depths of matter, and this is the essence of Pluto, or the Plutonic, the Chthonic essence, in touching the depths of matter and the darkest of dark, you find the spark of the divine light, which is the Philosopher's Stone. But you must descend through the course of all human history, all time, and all space to encounter the essential in the depths of the dark. This is Apollo slaying Python. Again, I'm going to refer to that myth because it's relevant here, because what we're talking about is the psyche piercing down, the ray of light piercing down into asleep, incarnate matter, right? It awakens the matter. It awakens the form. Again, this is the idea of quote-unquote life and death, where the spirit comes down and enters the body, and the spirit ascends, right, through the ecstatic revelation. And this ascension can occur in the process of the human lifespan through this cultivation of knowledge and the alchemical process of purgation and purification, which occurs in the vessel of the human body. So when we're discussing these gradients, right, and this is a way, an image, a song, right, these things that you could, they're graven in one sense, but not graven in another sense, right, so you just need to hear this. Graven in the sense that if they are taken to be the face of God, we're looking at a mirror and taking the image in the mirror to be the face of God, or the image of God, right? And of course it is in some sense, right? But we need to understand that we are using these things in a refractory sense, right? We're doing this sort of Perseus Medusa dance where we're looking at this for this face of the pleroma buried in the deep unconscious of matter, right? There is the face of God as it is spoken in the story of Job and in the Bible within the Leviathan, within the depths of suffering and pain. This again refers to the Buddha and the Buddhist tradition, the Buddhic tradition. It's that you find the pure divinity and the truth of life within the incarnate world, which appears to be a world of chaos, a world of confusion, a world of lostlessness. I've used this term. But these are ways of engaging like Perseus, using the mirror, using the refractory source of light to do this play of dance, of scrying, right? Because what we are seeking within ourselves is always within ourselves, right? So whatever we are acting like we are seeking out within the world, right, is actually, we're doing this dance of projection. And Edward Steiner talks about this quite frequently in terms of the, was it the Bronze Age and the Iron Age, I think? But it's this point, again, of the evolution and revolution of human consciousness, where we've gone through these periods of massive, like, wars, right, genocides, slaveries, addictions, stuff like the burning of witches in Salem, right? These are all of these outward projections of states of fear, right, where we're not actually encountering this, to use the Jungian, the shadow aspect of the self, which has not yet been incorporated. And the way that we do this is through processes of art making and the visitation and the focus and the presence on the experience of life as a work of art, right? Life as a divine work of art. And that we pay attention is that we are situated within this larger map-making process, a symbol and a sign amongst symbol and signs, seeking organization within this larger body, which is the larger body of order, right? You could conceive of the divine body of Christ, or the cosmic Christ, or the cosmic Adam Kadmon, if you will. It's a series of concentric circles, all of which are in perfect order symbolically. Again, you can think of the dance of the planets. There is no separation between this larger macrocosmic order or creation that is at play, and then these creation myths which pop up in cultures and civilizations, as well as the sort of everyday life on the ground of the world. And the understanding that you are this sort of divine spark within a divine body or cosmic working of Christ is that you are engaged in this dance as a dancer and the dance. So this is the kind of flow state that, again, is kind of dweller at the threshold between the sunrise and the sunset, the moment at which the sun meets the horizon and descends, and the sun meets the horizon and ascends, right? We're in this place of liminality. This is Hermes the messenger and the two bodies, the sun and the moon. We are in between this. It's like the shifting and the turning of the gyre, and to use the Yeats, it's the shifting and the turning, the moment of which this dimensional plane slowly shifts from conscious to unconscious, and we're straddling this threshold, and this is where the vision or the image or the apparition comes through, which is the guide. This is the guide that springs up from the unconscious, or springs up from matter into spirit, spirit into matter. So when we're discussing gradient, frequency, and wavelength, I'm just going to go really quickly here and leave it off soon because I'm like sweating through my shirt. That's the whole thing. When we're discussing this, we are discussing the primacy of understanding this sort of spiritual fire, which is the essence of all things, right? And then understanding that when we are engaging with things, beings, right, within the realm of the pleroma of being itself, that these are essences that appear to us, and we learn the sense of them through our perception of them, but this is not actually them at their spirit true form and formlessness, right? But for instance, you might look at a lemon or an orange or a tomato and examine it and get a sense for the taste before you taste it. The same thing if you taste something, you can get a sense for its form. And this is subtle, right? We're talking about the subtle body of the organism or the thing. And when you get to the realm of the subtle body, that's when you get to the realm of the density of the thing. So when we're talking about the descent into hell in the Dante terms, to retrieve the stone of the soul, the philosopher's stone, we're talking about the descent into calcified matter. I've talked about this as kind of the allusion to calcium that I make in some of these poems here. It's that you descend into matter, and when you descend into matter, you descend into the calcified, and it's like breaking up. There's been stuff happen like this recently at different countries. I think the U.S. attempted to drill into the soil or something ridiculous, right? But you understand that when we're going deeper and deeper and deeper into the density, it's going down into the core of the earth, which is ultimately the hot iron ore. This is metaphor, but also metaphysics, but also literal physics. Drilling down into the center of the earth, what we're doing is we're drilling down into the realm of the dead, right? That the dead actually make up the not only the firmament of the heavens, but the firmament of the earth, right? The body of the earth, and the descent down into the beyond, right? The descent down into the unseen, or the darkness, or the blackness, or the unknown. Because this is also a descent. You could think of the oceans, for example. So I just had to pause really quick. The oceans are a good example, because when you're talking about the descent into the oceans and the deeps and the darks of the oceans, you're going into this primordial realm where creation has still, for vast portions, has not even been touched by light, right? There are these fish that absorb what little light there is possible to reach these depths of the ocean where it is perennially pitch black. You're reaching back down into the depths of the primordial ancestry of life and existence itself. And this is a physical principle. This is physical reality. We're talking about the biology not only of the cosmos, but of the earth itself, when we're talking about digging into the sediment of the earth, the realm of the dead, which is, again, the plutonic. It's the richness of the soil. in the Greek. And this is also reaching down into the depths of the ocean. This is the realm of the Neptunian, right? Or this is the cosmic ocean that is both present on the earth as an earth principle, but also present in the cosmos as a cosmic principle. Again, physics and metaphysics, we need to understand that these two things are not separate. This work is the work of, I mean, if you think about, right, you were going to descend into the depths of the ocean, or if you were going to dig and dig and dig to the center of the earth to reach the hot iron ore, right, the fire, right, again, the volcanic, this is a plutonic, the kind of transformational essence, which explodes out through the center of the earth in the volcanic form. A sudden explosive transformation of consciousness or an apocalyptic event. It's again Pluto. If you were going to have this experience and do this, you would need to be suitably prepared. Again, in the sense of climbing a mountain, right? This is also the Tropic of Capricorn as well as the Tropic of Cancer. This is the ascent into the realm of the Pleroma, right? This is Mount Olympus. These are extra terra as well as extra forma movements. You live in the realm of the horizontal world, right? And there's all of these sort of guideposts that call for the ascent and the descent as a sine rhythm. Again, a sine wave rhythm. The back of the snake, which is the turning of the stars and the turning of the sun, which is the seasons, both cosmic and terrestrial. That call for these ascents and descents, and this requires a certain subtle knowledge of the rhythm of the breath. And this is, again, what we talk about when we're talking about Venus and the incarnation and the sort of movement between spirit and form. It's this dance between apparition and disapparition, just in the sense that these planets as well as these bodies are a period of time. They're here for a period of time, and they change forms. They change into stars. They change into hot ore. They burn away. I mean, this is, again, when we're talking about the cosmos, this is a transitory movement, but it's a movement nonetheless and a dance. So we'll leave this one here.